Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to Growing Through It, a podcast dedicated to bringing you clarity so that you can harness your curiosity and be the creator of your life. Hosted by me, Shanae Rowe. All right, howdy everybody. How are we? Hope you're having a fantabulous day wherever you are, and welcome back to the podcast for episode 16. I'm very happy that you're here. So let's jump into it. So on today's episode, I am going to be exploring the manifestation of love and sort of along the lines of unconditional love and what it is and how it can transform us. So obviously, like, what unconditional love is very subjective. And so I'm just gonna, be talking about sort of what I believe to be true about unconditional love at this point in my life. And when I do talk about it, I'm actually not even talking about like romance or, romantic relationships or anything like that. I'm just like, I don't know, I have a lot to talk about when it comes to unconditional love and what it relates to and how it shows up in our lives and where to find it and who has it and so many things. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to be discussing how love comes about and then also like particularly how we learn to love unconditionally when it hasn't been modeled to us. So yeah, enjoy and thanks for listening. So first up, where do we learn love? And I think it comes down to like family and how we grew up. And I think it has a lot to do with how love was shown to us by our parents and by the people in our lives, and how was love given to us by the people that we were closest to growing up. And as well, how was it received? How did your parents and aunties and uncles and caregivers and things like that, how did they respond when love was given to them? Like, I think love particularly, like, it is the concept of what love is created through our childhood. It's created from observing the people in our life, the people closest to us, and seeing like how they give and show love to each other, and if they even do. I think we as like people can get love so wrong. And for me, like in my experience, I think it definitely was like it was misinterpreted. Like the whole idea of what love is and how to give it and how to show it and receive it was just completely misinterpreted. And like because of that, I spent a large chunk of my life feeling like love wasn't there and that I wasn't loved and I felt unlovable. And I think that happens a lot. It can happen in a lot of families. And you talk to people, you talk to your friends about their families, and it's so diverse, people's experiences growing up, and whether or not they felt loved and accepted for who they are. It is so, like, it varies drastically from person to person. I find even people in the same family, like growing up, experience love differently and develop a different definition of what love is. Because like obviously you learn about love and you develop that concept of love, and then you're able to give it in a different way. So even like from sibling to sibling, your concept of love is completely different, purely based on like what you saw and what you experienced and the little like experiences that shaped that concept. So I guess like my question is, what is your current definition of love? Like when you think of love, what comes to mind? What do you think it is? What does it look like to you? Like, do you just think of love as being, a really deep connection between two people, like romantically? Do you think of love as friendship, of like really deep connections with people? Define what love means to you. How do you describe it? And how do you describe it if it's not in a romantic sense either? Like, if you take romance out of the picture, like, what do you believe love to be? What do you believe unconditional love to be? I know at times in my life I definitely I didn't really think about love because it wasn't really like something that I pondered on. And I didn't really have any situations that, asked of me to think about what love truly is. But I think, yeah, at one point in my life, I used to believe that love was only experienced between two people who are like romantically attracted to one another. I thought that's what love is. And to get love and to give love and to be loved, to feel lovable, I had to find a partner. That was one of my beliefs. But I think over the years, I've definitely built upon my concept and my definition of what love is, and it's changed drastically. Um, yeah, and I think now I would define love as just immense admiration and gratitude and awe of every single thing in the entire world, like nature, people, um, experiences. I think love is just this deep admiration for everything and everyone exactly how they are in the moment, without conditions, without um, limiting it. I think love is everywhere. There is love in everything and everyone. And the more that I think the more time you spend noticing that love, like that frequency, that energy that you feel, the more you're able to give, So I think like it can be tricky. It can be really tricky to understand love and know it and feel it. And as well, like that definition, your definition of love, think about how that belief carries through each phase of your life. I think for the majority of us, we spend our time trying to relearn all the things that have been taught to us that maybe don't feel true to us, right? I think love is a big one, and it's a big contributor. And when you don't know what love means to you, then I think it can create like a whole string of like limiting beliefs that can hold you back in your life, or that can, create negative scenarios and situations. And I think that is the case when we do get love wrong, when we um when we give love conditionally, and when we believe that love has conditions. So many challenging things can come up internally for us when we sort of have a warped view of what love is. And I think the challenge comes depending on whether that love is conditional or unconditional. Right? So like what does it even mean, like conditional love or unconditional love? And it's something that I've been realizing a lot lately, and even like noticing within myself of how I can sometimes give love conditionally, not only to other people but to myself. Like I have been noticing the situations and the thoughts in my mind that have been created through the belief that love is conditional. And I think when we love conditionally, it's with limitations, it's with a condition. It might be like, if I will love you, if, or you are only lovable if, or if I don't do this, it must mean that I am not worthy of love. Like if you're thinking of something and it doesn't even have to do with like verbalizing your love to someone else. It can like have to do with your perception of someone, like if you're like with a friend or something, and they do something that's a little bit weird, and you're like, wow, I really love this person, if only they didn't do that. That is conditional love. I found it's really hard to notice the limiting beliefs that we have that are actually caused and created through this warped idea of love. I do honestly feel that like everything comes back to this concept of unconditional love, because what I have found, like when noticing my limiting beliefs and things, like it all stems from a really warped view of what love is, and it's putting conditions on myself and other people, and trying to restrain someone or something. And I think like that restraint is conditional love. And I think that it comes from what is shown to us and what is taught to us about love. Some of us might have this belief that we can only be loved when we're doing our best, or this false idea that we have to be succeeding or achieving or doing something great or putting our best foot forward in order to be praised. And then that praise equates to our, the love we have for ourselves and our self-worth. And I think that when we are not shown love in our love language, and if we are withheld love, it can lead to this, relying on our success or our achievements or our bubbly personality or something like that. It can lead to us believing that we need to be that way all the time, 24/7, in order to be worthy of love. And like I definitely grew up with that sort of concept of love that I had to be I had to be achieving. The way that others give love to us is the way that we develop this concept of what love is. And so many things can happen that we don't even realize are creating our beliefs. You can be a really intelligent person, and maybe like the people closest to you in your life are really busy, and they only sort of like praise you and notice and acknowledge you doing well when you are achieving something. And so, like, we link success to love, right? If we're verbally being praised for something good that we've done, then we're going to want to continue to do good things, because that means people are thinking of us and caring of us. And we feel that love when people are um, sharing their acknowledgement of us to us. But it is that love with conditions. Whereas, like, on the other hand, unconditional love, it's loving without limitations. And it's this sense that we are supported and seen and heard and accepted exactly as we are. And especially when we're struggling, like, it's knowing that you can make mistakes and, fuck up and do silly things. And someone at the end of the day is going to have your back, and they're not going to abandon you, or they're not going to shame you for the choices that you make. I had this sort of epiphany the other day. Maybe it's not even that um, much of an epiphany, but we're going to have a D&M. But like for so long, I felt like I needed to show up as my best self all of the time in order for people to truly love me. And I found it recently so difficult to be comfortable with being and sharing my sadness or my fears. Like, my definition of love was that I am lovable, but only when I am operating at what I believe is to be like my peak or doing my best. And it was such a struggle to come out of that and reframe my concept of love, because it's not just what you give to other people, it's also what you give to yourself. Like, if you put conditions on the love you give to yourself, then that is still showing yourself conditional love. And like, I think depending on whether you're operating from a place of love with conditions or operating from a place of unconditional love, like, it has a huge influence on the trajectory of our lives, because our belief about love creates the basis of our limiting beliefs, right? And if we have a warped view of love, if we feel like love is only romantic, and in order to feel loved, I have to be this way and this way and this way, then it can lead to us, chasing pain and people who aren't right for us, and, withholding our fear, and, feeling disconnected because we're trying to find, connection in people who aren't right for us, right? This sort of misalignment between ourselves and our external reality. I think a lot of that can happen when we have this belief that love is conditional, even if we're not aware of it. Like, it influences all of our choices and our decisions when we don't fully understand that, like, love is everywhere. So yeah, like, let's talk about like unconditional love, right? And I think it can take the form of so many different things. But the main ones that I have noticed is the love that you have for yourself, the love that you have and share and give and receive from others, and then the love that we have for nature. Like, I find those three is where, like, love is everywhere. Unconditional love is everywhere. But, once you reframe your concept of love and start to believe that love is unconditional, I feel like those are the three main forms that it takes. Like, unconditional love with ourselves, I view it as like it's our self-worth. It's our dedication to learn and grow. And the more that we strengthen that, the more that we are able to, have these realizations about ourselves and unlearn things that we're not like super happy with, and the behaviors that we have that we don't enjoy acting in anymore. I think when we have that dedication to learn and grow within ourselves, that is us showing ourselves unconditional love, right? It's that wanting to show up for ourselves no matter what, no matter what we discover about ourselves that are hard to face and hard to look at and really like difficult to come to terms with about ourselves, like deciding to learn from all of those things is, I feel like, us showing ourselves that unconditional love, right? Because when we're able to look at ourselves and, maybe the shit that we did once that we're sort of ashamed of, or the way that we respond and behave around certain people that we're embarrassed of, when we can look at those parts of ourselves and still give ourselves the compassion and understanding and care, regardless of, our wrongdoings or our flaws, like that is unconditional love. And the more that you strengthen that, I find just the softer you become and the more that you're able to love others unconditionally, right? When we have that deep respect and admiration for who we are and who we're becoming, we're able to give unconditional love to other people because we know that everyone has their flaws and everyone has, stories to tell that show that they're not proud of who they once were. And when you can see that in yourself and you can see it in other people, and um you can love them and for having that awareness to want to be better and love themselves more, right? You're building a connection with someone based on that mutual understanding that we're all kind of learning, and we're not perfect, and we've all got things that we're struggling with, right? You're able to build like a community, and you're able to find people who truly deeply see you and understand you because of that unconditional love with yourself that turns into unconditional love for other people. And then I think like nature ties into this because I feel like once you get to a certain point, you realize that you're just nature. You are another part of this Mother Earth, this world, and you realize like nothing exists without the trees and the bees and the waves crashing. We all work in harmony with each other, and humans aren't separate from our physical world. We are just an addition to it. We are part of it. We are all, part of this ooey gooey ball of unconditional love that is, the physical world. And I think being able to see nature as, I don't even know what it would be. It's just like looking at nature, looking at butterflies or, just animals and trees and sunlight and rain, looking at those with just this deep admiration and appreciation for it being here is like so beautiful. And I think that that is unconditional love as well, right? It doesn't just apply to people, doesn't just apply to love we have for ourselves or love we have for others. It extends far beyond that, and it it's literally everything. I don't even know how to explain it. in a better way than that, that unconditional love is everyone and everything, and that admiration and awe and inspiration and appreciation and just gratitude for everything being here exactly as it is. Which leads me to wonder, like, is unconditional love found or is it created? And if we bring it back to like unconditionally loving other people, you know, like if you grow up somewhere or if your experience of love is conditional, and if unconditional love wasn't modeled or shown to you, like how do you love unconditionally? How does that come about? How are you able to go from believing that love is conditional and that you can only be loved and feel loved if such and such and such happens? Like, how do you change that to believe that you are worthy of love and you deserve it and everyone deserves it and everything deserves it? I don't know. I think somewhere along the lines of our whimsical little lives, like we see it. We see it somewhere. And I think for me, like it was nature. But, you know, like you might see unconditional love in an interaction between two strangers, where you see someone helping another person just because they feel like it's the right thing to do, you know, without wanting anything in return. You know, little experiences and little moments where you see unconditional love, you know, playing out, I think maybe is what contributes to you creating that unconditional love within yourself. But yeah, I think it's a combination of finding unconditional love and then creating it, because you can, oh my goodness, guys, there's literally a ladybug crawling on a blade of grass. Oh my God, and there's a lizard. Wow. This really is the best day. Anyways, oh, and a butterfly. um yeah, I think you can find love and you can see it happening everywhere, but it is your choice to do something with that information, right? Um, and that's where I think like creating unconditional love comes in, because like everyone has the capacity to love unconditionally, but it is our choice whether or not we welcome that love into our lives, right? We can put a barrier up and be like, no, I am not receiving this love. I'm undeserving. And that comes back to like believing that love is conditional, right? And how love was modeled to us. But I think if you witness unconditional love, if you experience it and see it enough times, you realize that the choice is yours of whether or not to snowball that love, whether you want to adopt the behaviors that you see loving people have, and then create them within yourself. Like take on those behaviors within yourself. And it's not about like trying to be someone else or trying to be someone you're not. But I think like creating that, the beauty of unconditional love within yourself, means like looking at your definition of love and looking at the people who embody that definition of love, noticing things about them that they do, the way they talk, the way they treat other people, and then choosing to act in a similar way and express that love in a similar way, but still, you know, doing it authentically in a way that feels right for you. I think it is a mixture, like unconditional love, when we haven't experienced it, you know, growing up, it is found, but it also is created. And I think even if you did experience like feeling loved unconditionally growing up, and that is maybe your baseline norm, then you still are able to create it. You're able to create more of it. Like you can never have enough love. You can never give enough love in a good way. Like love is everywhere, and the more that you give it, the more amazing everything in the world feels. And then as well, like I've always pondered on the question of is love a choice or a feeling? And I've asked people this, and I've talked about it with friends and stuff. And it's still, even like, I feel like it's a big philosophy question as well. Like, is love a feeling or a choice? But I think it's both. I really do. I think unconditional love is both a feeling and a choice. And it depends on the context. No, I think it is always a feeling and a choice, because I think the feeling of love comes first, right? We're attracted to certain things and certain people, and I don't know like the science behind it, but I'm sure like chemicals are being released in our brains and whatnot, and like we feel it as a feeling, like, but then I think like it becomes a choice, right? Like if you were out in nature, and one for me that really gets me every single bloody time is walking or driving through trees at like golden hour and the sun is flickering through the branches and the leaves. Like that for me is unconditional love. And that's what I'm feeling when I'm looking at, the light coming through the trees. But I think like you can feel that, and the choice is yours whether or not you identify that as love. The choice is yours whether or not you tap into that feeling, whether you tap into that sensation that's coming up and reciprocate it. I think unconditional love is a lot to do with reciprocation and like giving what you get and like giving back what you give. And sometimes it can even mean like giving and not feeling like you're getting as much, because it always comes back. Like love in the world, it always comes back. No matter what, like the more that you see beauty in everything and see gratitude and awe in everything, the more it's going to come back to you. I think a moment that really helped me see that love can truly also be a choice has been within my friendships. And honestly, have found that my platonic relationships have helped me to realize a lot about my definition of love and understand conditional love and unconditional love. Like my friends have allowed me to do that, because like I've been meeting so many beautiful people over the, year and a half, and I showed up to those friendships with my whole heart, and I truly felt I was receiving the same. And because at the time, my belief about love was that it was, people showing up fully as themselves to the best of their ability always, right? And that's what I believed. And then, as friendships deepen and you start to see all the different sides of your friends, part of their multifaceted human experience is, they've got flaws too. And they've got things that they're working on. And there have been times in these friendships that I have been like, oh, I actually don't like this about you. Like, I don't like this part of you. And in those moments, I was always presented with the choice of, that's normal. And you can either let that negatively impact the friendship, or you can just say, hey, I see you. I acknowledge that part of you and I still love you. Like that, for me, has helped me be able to understand. That is when I realized that love is actually a choice. Loving someone means loving them unconditionally, which means loving every single aspect of them, no matter if it's, positive, negative, good, bad. It's choosing to still say, like, hey, I'm by your side. I've got your back, and you can still tell me anything, and I'm still going to appreciate you for exactly who and what you are right in this moment. So, yeah, like I'm super duper grateful for like my platonic relationships for showing me that love is a feeling and especially in like a romantic feeling. But love is also a choice, and it is that choice to see people in their darkest times and still want to know them and want to see them grow and evolve and become. Like that is unconditional love. And without my friends, I don't think I would really have, that understanding. So I think like because of that, like when you realize what unconditional love is and what it feels like and what it looks like, and when you understand that your concept of love is the driving force behind a lot of your views and beliefs and the constraints you put on yourself, you like it really helps to bring clarity to your life, and it helps you be able to find like connections and enjoyment and fulfillment out of just like everyday mundane things. Like I truly think like our concept of love determines the quality of our lives, and it determines like the richness of our internal experience. Yeah, I think that it can transform us. It Once we get at that taste of unconditional love, want it. We want to seek that out everywhere we go, in everyone, in everything. We want to find it, we want to feel it, we want to give it. I think that's a big part of unconditional love. It's like, how amazing it feels to experience love, right? To experience that gratitude and that awe in people, in yourself, in nature. You know how it feels. So you want to bring that to everyone and everything. And I think the more we want to give love, the more that we receive love. And honestly, the more beautiful and peaceful and wonderful our lives become. I feel like, yeah, the quality of our life centers around our concept of what love is. Because what we believe love is what we believe we deserve. Our belief about love tells us what we believe we deserve from the world, from people, from, experiences. And when we step up to that, you know, expression of love unconditionally, you attract what you give as well. So it's like it's this uh, cycle of, giving love means that you get it, but getting it means that you want to give it. And the more love, I feel like the more unconditional love we feel and experience in our life, the more that we receive from life, the more beautiful things we're able to see, and the more opportunities we're able to have. We are able to transform who we are because we attract exactly what we give. We transform when we learn more about love and what it is and what it means to us, and we we attract the things that we deserve. And so if we think that we deserve love unconditionally, if we believe that we are deserving of experiencing everything wholeheartedly, making deep and beautiful connections with people who love and admire us for exactly who we are, regardless of, our history or our experiences or our trauma, we will receive that. We will receive those things. We will get exactly what we think we deserve. So I think that's why it's so important to strengthen that relationship that you have with yourself, surrounding love, surrounding, your self-worth and things, because if some part of you has this warped idea of what love looks like, then you're going to believe you are only deserving of exactly what you're thinking. And again, like it's hard to face our beliefs and and the ways that we are sabotaging ourselves. It's hard to look at those parts of ourselves and still actually like who we are. But I think that's the whole purpose of it, like that's the whole point. Like that's what showing unconditional love to ourselves is. It's facing our pain and and seeing the role that we played in our pain, the way that we caused our hurt, um the way that our thoughts make us, sad or upset. Like, it's not blaming ourselves, but it's acknowledging the role that we play in hurting ourselves and still loving who we are and still believing that we can be better and that we can do better and we can treat other people and ourselves better. It's like there's always something to be working on when we look at life from the lens of everything is love and everywhere is love, and there is always beautiful things to be experienced and felt and shared with other people. And like that reshapes us. And that is what we grow from and we learn from. Oh, I really hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and as always, I hope that you've learned something, that you've realized something new about yourself and found a little bit of inspiration hidden amongst my word vomit. But thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. And I'm sending you all the love. Um, Cringe. I'm not just saying that because I'm doing an episode on love. I actually really appreciate you guys for listening along. Yeah. I hope you have a wonderful day or week or life. I really hope you have a wonderful life. Um, Share this episode around if you liked it. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear it. But as always, the world is waiting for you. So get on out there and enjoy your big, beautiful life. I'm going to go for a swim. Bye.